Decades of Horror, the 1980s.
You know, I like smoking. I take a toke once in a while, and now and then I like to piss on a bush. Am I going to hell for that?
This is episode 232, recorded May 4th, 2023. I'll let Bill be the judge of that.
I'm peeing right now.
Gruesome Magazine.
Oh.
Well, nowhere to go but up now.
Yeah. All right. My name is Jeff Mohr, and this podcast is about horror films released between 1980 and 1989. Each episode, my co-hosts Bill Mulligan, Crystal Cleveland, and Chad Hunt and I will tackle another classic or not so classic film from this radical, gory, influential, and gruesome decade. Decades of Horror Gruesome Magazine is partnering with Play Now Media, so you can watch our video podcast episodes on some of their streaming channels. Decades of Horror of the 1980s is available on Wicked Horror TV, the Free Horror Channel, and Retro Horror, the 70s, 80s, and 90s, which right now is just on Roku, I believe. So everything's working really well there. All righty. On this podcast, we'll be starting by giving some basic details of the film we're covering, followed by each of our first impressions of the movie. And then we'll move on to general discussion of whatever trips our trigger. Crystal Cleveland is unable to be with us tonight, at least for now. We had to reschedule, and we had some conflicts. So if we're lucky, she'll join us later on. If not,
stuck with us.
We'll roast her just a little bit while she's gone. Also joining us is Chad Hunt, comic book artist and co-host of all of the Decades of Horrors. How you doing, Chad?
I am walking backwards slowly from a horde of zombies when I could turn around and run. That's how I'm doing.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah.
And you're still alive. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Last but not least is Bill Mulligan, writer, director, special effects guru, co-host of Decades for the 1970s, and a published author of a book called ROM.
Oh, I should have a copy here to.
I
Not
knew
ROM
we were,
Space Night, but ROM
RAUM. There you go.
I was watching the
tattoo that on my face.
I think I was editing the one where you first held it up and announced it, and we never once said the title of the book. We had it up, so people were looking, but if you were listening on audio, that wasn't on there. But then you said, look it up on Amazon. It's the only one.
Yeah, look it up on Amazon. Ask for it by name.
Yeah, guess what it is first, and then type in words.
This is how first-time writers never become second-time writers. Well, I'm doing fine. I just jumped into a pool of boiling water after I saw a woman who fell in there have her legs chopped off. So I'm feeling pretty bold right now.
That was an interesting development, and I'm glad you got out.
I'm used to people in these movies being dumb, but this takes it to levels never imagined.
Well, and spoiler alert, we are going to talk about who dies, who doesn't die, and all that stuff.
Movie. They all die.
It's a zombie movie. Everybody dies. So our topic tonight is
Yul Brynner.
Yes,
in Zombie 3,
and the first star is Green Yul Brynner.
Boy, look at that guy. He is hairless. He is like a baby's bottom. Wow.
He is. They probably had to, because the makeup they put on later would have stuck if he'd had any years. Yeah. Released in 1988, directed by Lucio Fulci, but also uncredited Claudio Fragasso and Bruno Mattei, and we'll talk about that quite a bit later. Written by Claudio Fragasso, uncredited. It was actually co-written by Claudio's wife, Rossella Drudi, and also Fulci always puts in some input. The cast includes Darren Serafian, Beatrice Ring, Ottaviano Delacroix, Massimo Vanni, Julie Reinthaler, Marina Loy, Deborah Bergamini, and Robert Marius. Production company Flora Film. It was filmed in the Philippines, actually not too far from where Apocalypse Now filmed, maybe even one of the same locations. Filming dates, well, it started in December 1987 and took 6 weeks. The release date, it always seems strange to me when the home country is not the original release date. It was first released June 30th, 1988 in France, and then a month later, July 29th, 1988 in Italy, and not in the U.S. officially until September 24th, 2002, when there was a DVD premiere. You guys are both going to tell me how you saw this before that, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So
Sure.
Maybe.
The synopsis: when a terrorist's body infected with a stolen chemical is cremated by the U.S. military, a virus is unintentionally released into the atmosphere over a small island. I just can't take my eyes off Green Yule Brunner.
Mm-hmm.
Just such a...
Release Fragasso.
There's a lot of green in this movie, too.
Oh, yeah, a lot of green. It's like
they
only had a couple of gel filters, but they definitely had a green one.
I kept thinking the theme music for the Incredible Hulk TV show was going to play during that little part there.
The music is something off. I have no information on the box office or budget.
I'd say not much in both cases.
This one has lots of titles, and it comes from the whole idea that the original film Zombie, as released in the U.S., was called Zombie 2 in Italy, to hint at it being a sequel to Dawn of the Dead. That's correct, I think. So that's why this one is called Zombie 3, even though in the US there was never really a Zombie 2 by Fulci.
Well, right? actually, Zombie was supposed to be a sequel to Night of the Living Dead, or continuation of that somehow, which it was not. Okay. So that's why sometimes you'll hear Zombie called Zombie 2. Or something like that. It might be Dawn of the Dead, either one of those. But yeah, it's
so we got a lot of titles.
No way connected.
Yeah.
In Germany, it was Zombie 3, Ein neuer Anfang, a new beginning,
which translates into "Stop, my mom is a zombie."
Yeah. In the UK, it was Zombie Flesh Eaters 2, because Zombie was Zombie Flesh Eaters in the UK.
Okay.
In some releases. Zombie 3, and I'm not going to know Portuguese, Revolta dos Mortos Vivos, Revolt of the Living Dead. Or in Polish, I'm not even going to try the language, but it translates to Zombies Meat Eaters 2. In Greece, Camp of the Living Dead is a translation. And in Denmark, there was a DVD title of Zombie Hell on Earth. Now, the interesting thing about this is, at least in my opinion, is good luck finding a poster of this that's any different.
Mm-hmm.
They're all, I could find no variations on the poster, even with all these different titles. I don't know why they just weren't out there. But you know what we always do here, and this will be a relatively quick version of it's now time for Taglines with Chad. And that's been Taglines with Chad.
They just
there are
gave
no
up.
Taglines. I mean, that's
my greatest performance ever.
They didn't even try. It's three times the terror. Come on, guys.
The closest thing I could come to was a Lucio Fulci film or something like that. But that was the only other thing I ever found on a poster.
We could come up with taglines. You'll believe a severed head can fly.
Yes.
Gold.
And why is everything inside a building in the Philippines green? I don't know. That's so
mold.
Well, then let's go to first impressions and mold. Yes.
Whose fault was this? Oh, right.
I do have some questions about but we'll talk later. I'll wait here. So Chad, this is Chad's pick, Zombie 3. We love Fulci, right?
Yeah.
Right. So Chad, what are your impressions of Zombie 3?
I've never seen this before. I've always known about it, but never seen it. It just looked like a piece of crap zombie film. So it popped up on Tubi, I think. And I was like, well, look, it's Fulci. Let's try it out. Let's see what's going on. So I watched it. And I have to say, there's something about Italian zombie films that there's always a standout gag or effects thing that always is above and beyond the movie itself. This one being as Bill brought up before, the flying zombie head. These two idiots open up a refrigerator and a zombie head opens its eyes, flies out of the refrigerator and continues to bite this guy all over as it's flying around his body and bites. And I was like, okay.
And the refrigerator was bathed in green light.
Green. Somebody like typo negative in there. That's band is all green all the time. But I was like, okay, cool. That's very cool. There was some cool effects gags in here. The movie's trash. The movie is just trash beyond trash. But some of the makeup stuff was really good. The pregnant lady who gave birth to a full-grown zombie.
Sure.
Why not? So yeah, I had a load of fun watching this movie. There was a threadbare plot, that we've seen in a lot of other movies, and we've seen some scenes from a lot of other movies. Zombies chained to walls, and the helicopters taking off at the end. There's all kinds of. It seemed like homages to other films, or the whole burning the body of the zombie and the smoke that rises, that directly out of Return of the Living Dead. And it causing all these other people to turn into zombies. It was that kind of stuff was pretty cool. I liked that a lot, enjoyed that a lot. And it was just so silly and it is, I'm not going to apologize for it, but I had a great time watching it. And I thought it was a lot of fun. I'll probably never watch it again, though. If I do, I'll fast forward directly to the flying skull, flying head scene. But I enjoyed it a lot. It was fun.
All right. So, Bill Mulligan, how about you? Had you seen this before?
No. I had heard about it. I'd forgotten that it was Fulci. I probably would have checked it out earlier because I've kind of rediscovered Fulci and like his stuff a lot. But okay, this is the last few years of Fulci's life were not the best in terms of, the creative decline and just the decline of his health, which probably the two are pretty tightly linked together. But this is terrible. Now, I will say the dumbest scene is the head in the refrigerator, but it's also the one that I feel like he had a lot of fun doing because the color is good, the lighting is good. It looks if you see a still from it, it looks like a Fulci film. Mm-hmm. It's the one where, excuse me. And from what I hear, he did enjoy. He liked that scene. It makes not a lick of sense. But this may have been Lamberto Bava actually made a movie where the entire movie is about this crazy woman who has a severed head in her refrigerator. It's pretty much a giallo movie until the last 10 seconds of the movie where the thing comes alive and kills someone. So, the Italian movies have their own logic. in a way. This has no narrative thread. People are just walking around doing things. You could end this movie at any point in the last 45 minutes, and you could say, okay, that's a movie. No, it just keeps on going. Now it's time for another shootout. Some more people die. Nobody cares. It has a lot of scenes where it sounds like they just told the actors, I don't know, act like a bunch of horny soldiers or something. Make stuff up. So the dialogue is just inane. They're just saying things over and over again, waiting for someone to say cut, because they have long since run out of things to say. There's no characters. The acting. All right. So the main characters, they're not great, but they're not given anything. So who knows? But the doctor and the general. Wow, are they bad? Especially the doctor. I cannot tell you how bad this guy was. And he's acting his little heart out. He is swinging his hands around like he's conducting an imaginary band. He is trying so hard to act, and he's so bad at it. And the fact that the guy he's acting is just like, has the check cleared yet? Yeah, okay. So he's just underacting or whatever. And the other guy is emoting for the ages. It's really funny. It's really funny.
It looked like a bad SNL sketch.
Yeah,
those scenes with him, the doctor and the general.
Yeah. Boy, this is just one dumb movie. I just feel like the story of the making of this movie is more interesting, because you have a pretty accomplished director who's not in the best of health. They're shooting in the Philippines. You mentioned Apocalypse Now. It kind of reminds me, everything I've heard about that shoot was that it was a nightmare. I mean, the Philippines looks like a beautiful place, but maybe not the best place to do guerrilla filmmaking, because everyone just talks about how exhausting and taxing, and nobody wanted to come back for the reshoots. Which amazingly, there were reshoots. Like, they looked at this and said, we can make it better. I don't know. This is something. It's not the worst movie we've done this month.
Won't be the last either.
But it hasn't really. It's not the one that's going to take us out of this ditch that we've dug ourselves into by listening to the readers, listening to the viewers. That's our mistake right there. But, for everything I'm saying about it, now that I'm not actually watching it, I do kind of have a little bit of affection for this dopey film. Not a lot. Just a little. Yeah.
There's always a caveat.
Yeah.
All right. Well, in case you're interested by any of this, Severin has a Blu-ray, and
who would buy that? Who would buy a Blu-ray of this film?
Who knows? Which way am I supposed to point at, Jeff?
And I learned stuff. Which was more interesting than the movie itself. But you're right. This is one of those movies that it's kind of fun because the acting and the dubbing is so bad, and it isn't that anyway, the effects. I mean, there are zombies everywhere. They're oozing foam, blood, guts, whatever, all over the place. We have so we've got a decapitated zombie. We got a woman without legs. We got I don't know. It just goes on and on. There was a part where in the commentary, which I still don't know how much was true, because it was two of the actors, Darren Serafian and Beatrice Ring, were saying they said you could see, like, when they had the canoes in the river at one point, when there's like 5 of them going in these long dugout canoes, that down the river there you could see where Apocalypse Now was shot. So
cool.
Who knows? Anyway, yeah, it's insane. It has a very troubled production in terms of Fulci having to leave, and I don't know what else to say. We should probably just move on and get into some details. I do have some interesting info about one of the actors anyway. So,
if someone came up to me and said, "Is this one of those movies with fast zombies or really slow zombies?" I'd say yes.
Both.
Because sometimes they're moving way faster than I ever could, and other times, if they were going any slower, they'd be moonwalking. They'd be receding into the distance. So,
I never knew zombies come home to roost at night because these things were dropping out of the rafters faster than.
And they use tools. One guy had a machete.
They jump a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
So speaking of the machete, the scene with the machete, you guys probably noticed it, but they're going after. I gotta get the character's name right here. It was Beatrice Ring's character, Patricia. They're going after her inside this, and of course, these people, they split up all the friggin' time.
Yeah. You know? Oh, sure.
So the guy's outside. I don't know what he's doing. She walks into this gas station and is wandering around and gets attacked by a zombie. And then what ensues, first the one attacks her, and then this other one comes from the other side. And then so they go into this big explanation about this guy just loves it. But you could tell that this was shot. I think I have this right. It was the camera was under cranked.
Yeah.
And that then when they show it, all of a sudden
looked like a Benny Hill skit.
Oh God, they're just faster than shit, spinning around and falling down, and tripping and crap. It's hilarious.
They need some yakety sax.
Yeah.
But another one of the big positives of this was when that gas station blowed up. It blowed up real good.
Blowed up real good. Yeah, I was impressed with
the
blowing up stuff. They apparently that you can get that cheap in the Philippines. So that was impressive.
Was that good?
Because everything else was uber low budget, and then you're like, well, okay, that was pretty cool. I hope the guy who owned the gas station knew they were filming there.
As amused as I was at this movie, there was a part where that I actually laughed out loud was when the Patricia was walking through the halls of that place. And one guy's name is Kenny, the other guy's name is Roger. And she's going, Kenny, Roger, Kenny, Roger.
Kenny, Roger.
And I was like,
I didn't even notice that. That's pretty good.
That's cool. That is funny. The part I laughed at is when there's a bunch of dead birds on the road and they're like, oh, we have to move them. I wouldn't touch a dead bird if you held a gun to my head. I mean, becoming a zombie would be the best case scenario. Dang, what are you talking about? Ugh. Ugh. People are so dumb in this movie. They're so dumb, freaking dumb. And yet things just happen with no explanation. It's like, hey, we found a crate of guns. I'm 62 years old, and never once in all those years have I ever found a crate of guns, much less when it would really come in handy, like a bunch of zombies running around. I mean, that's good luck. Oh, the other one, the woman, she stops her car. I think her boyfriend turns into a zombie. Blah blah. Oh no, he gets. I don't know. She starts up the car. She's like, oh, good, it started.
Yeah, only in a horror movie.
But at no point have we established that her car ever doesn't start. Like I don't do that. I don't get my car.
Why did you get out of your car? Number two, why did you turn it off?
If you think there's a problem, if you think that's going to be a potential, sometimes the battery's a little wonky. We'll never turn it off. What are you?
Well,
crazy?
She's also when they're at the gas station. That's what it is. Her boyfriend is in the car, incapacitated. I think she's looking for a phone or something. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah,
anyway, so I'm trying to remember. I think the zombie comes out flinging that machete around and cuts a gas line. Right. And it starts spurting gas. She goes back to her car, and I'm thinking, oh no, not the digging in my pocket for the keys thing. But no, it wasn't. She pulls out a lighter, throws the lighter in there and makes the big boom.
Which is that is a bold move, but I don't know. Do you blow up gas stations for a living? Like, how big an explosion are we talking about here? Are you really going to be able to get away in time?
Seeing this, how there's weapons and stuff just laying around in crates. Who knows how many explosives the gas station attendant had?
And these guys, they make a big deal. We found this crate of guns. Woo, okay, cool. And then when the zombie horde slowly comes toward them, they are waiting till they are on top of them before they start shooting. Like they don't know how to use a gun. Like they're going to poke them in the head with the barrel or something. I'd be shooting at them as soon as I was confident the bullet could reach.
And all previous zombie rules flew out the window in this movie. Apparently, if you just shoot them in the chest somewhere, they're down.
Yeah.
And because that's all. No, I don't remember seeing a single headshot in this movie. So squibs must be expensive.
They didn't want to use their guns. They wanted to use the flamethrower. I said, flamethrowers. FYI, folks, in case this ever happens, flamethrowers are a terrible weapon against zombies.
Yeah.
They don't really feel pain. So really all you've done is you've set the zombie that's coming toward you on fire. Only thing more dangerous than a zombie is a flaming zombie. You've increased the number of ways he can kill you. Man.
Well, these seem to like it's just die right and left. Yeah. I love what Chad said. You don't have to shoot him in the head. You just shoot him. And anyway,
give him a good, I think someone punched one or,
Yeah, he punched it and it just fell down dead. Yeah.
There was a guy that was in a pretty significant fight with a bunch of them, and he jumps up and gets away. Like not one of them bit him, I guess. So
not too impressive.
Well, here's the poster.
Cool. It's a good poster. I think it's a cool poster.
Well, if you look at a copy of the poster, Force 5 from like 1981, it looks a lot like that.
You mean the producers of Zombie 3 ripped off other creators?
Well, it just looks, it's the same concept. And I imagine if we look very hard, we'd find a lot of fists,
with faces,
flames or lightning bolts or whatever coming out of it. But the only thing different is the faces in the fist, and maybe the eyeballs. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it is a
cool claw hand.
And it's everywhere. It is everywhere.
Yep.
And it's weird, I just don't understand the US because we insist on putting the E for zombie.
Mm-hmm.
Like we wouldn't know what they meant by
except
zombie
after
without
C.
an E.
Yeah.
It makes no sense. And so now whenever you read about this, it's like half and half, with the E, without the E. This is a poster. I think that's also I'm trying to remember. I think the cover of the Blu-ray is without the E. Somewhere I was looking it up, though. It has the E. I don't know if that was on Tubi or on IMDb. They keep the E on IMDb. So I don't know. I just don't understand that. But yeah, it is kind of a cool poster.
I wonder if they thought about making it in 3D because the head coming. Oh, really?
Yeah.
There was a couple of times in the movie where I had that feeling like, there was something. And then, of course, the severed head would have been great in 3D.
It was announced as a 3D film, but was never made it there. And I think some of the stories we'll talk about here on Fulci and how they felt like the producers weren't supporting them and how there wasn't enough prep time and stuff like that makes you, there's no way in hell they could have done a 3D. They weren't putting much money into it. But, all righty. Well, Fulci.
And I included in this picture just basically the last few films he made. Cat in the Brain. I guess we'll have to do Cat in the Brain one day.
Yeah, I've never seen that. All I remember is the Black Saint describing it.
Yeah, great poster, crazy concept. So that but yeah, the last few years, there's the quality of the films is less and everything, and the energy's just not there. But the man was dying. Yes, it took him 10 years to die, but he was in terrible health. Mm-hmm. and bad financial straits and everything. Dario Argento tried to help him out in the end. The only good thing I can say about Fulci's last few years is that he did manage to get to a convention in New York during a snowstorm and a bunch of hardcore fans. And I wish to God I'd been one of them. Braved the storm to get out there. And he was shocked, apparently, at how well regarded his films were in America. He had no idea. And that makes me feel good in my heart. It's always heartbreaking for me to hear about these folks that we talk about now that have a cult following. A lot of good it did them when they were alive. They died thinking that nobody cared, that they'd failed and everything else. And I'm glad that at least he had a little bit of an inkling that his stuff would be remembered after he was gone, which it certainly is. His reputation has only grown since then. But this is not one of the ones that his reputation is built on. That's for sure.
Well, considering his output, we got lots to draw from in both 70s and 80s if we want to do more of his films. So, and I'm sure we will.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll talk a little bit later about this. I just want to hit these high points first on the direction. So there's the zombie. There's the green skull the skull in the green refrigerator.
Yeah.
I mean, that one's got a lot more work on it than a lot of the other stuff. That looks like it could be right out of City of the Living Dead or something. That one almost looks 3D just looking at it.
Mm-hmm.
And the special effects makeup was Franco di Girolamo. Girolamo, probably. Girolamo sounds more Italian. I don't
remember the Girolamo.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, yeah.
Girolamo. So
I don't know what else he's done, but the effects
he did a bunch of stuff with Fulci.
Okay. I mean, the effects are, I would say, hit or miss, but I think for what they had to spend, more hit than miss. You know?
Yeah, I think the one in the middle there was supposed to be the hero 3D shot.
Yes. Yeah, doesn't that look great?
Mm-hmm.
That would have been silly.
Holy cow.
Such a completely illogical scene, but who cares, you know?
It just flies out of there, teeth snapping.
He don't look so much like Yul Brynner anymore, does he?
No.
This guy, for the most part, seems like you look at these and he's really into the sculpting. You know? Yeah. What did I do? Oh, that they do. He does a little bit on the Blu-ray. The special effects guy, and he goes, "Here's the difference of a live effects gag," and he has a fake hand sitting there, and he takes a pair of scissors and stabs it into the hand, and blood starts oozing out of it. And he goes,
"That's cool.
You can't do that in CGI. It doesn't look right." And then he holds his hand up, and he's got the bulb in his on one side of the scissors that you can't see, and but it looks cool. You don't know that,
That's cool. He's right.
Anyway.
He's right.
He's he is. CGI, they haven't mastered the tactile nature of practical effects yet, even as advanced as it is. I don't think.
Now, I did like the DJ. Now I knew the payoff to the DJ before I even started watching the movie. As soon as they gave this guy any time whatsoever and established that we're only going to see him, sitting in this chair, often with his back to us, I knew exactly the ending we were getting with him. No mystery there, but it's a good payoff, and he did look pretty gnarly. Yeah.
And then we see Sylvester Stallone at the top getting one of his de-aging treatments.
Yo. Chemical peel.
It almost looks like Bruce Campbell. It's like with makeup on, but Robert Blake might have looked like that at one point.
Awfully green.
And the one in the middle is Octaviano Delacroix.
That's the guy they made jump to the helicopter rail instead of.
Is that the one where they had the platoon moment?
Not only that, he jumps up there and grabs that, and it turns out that right where the helicopter was sitting, there was all these zombies underneath.
Yeah, hay bale zombies.
Yeah, hay bale zombies just waiting for their moment.
The helicopter takes off, and they just jump up out of nowhere.
We've been waiting here.
We've been hiding, waiting for you.
Zombies are very patient. They pick their moment.
But not even, even then we have to have it's almost like the Night of the Living Dead moment where he escapes. He escapes from this pile up.
Yeah.
And goes running across the field, and soldiers shoot him.
Yeah. Makes you think. I wonder who the real zombies are.
Yes. So I don't know if I should. I'm going to bring this up now just because it's up there. So this whole radio gig.
Yeah.
So Bruno, actually, Mattei, besides shooting this extra stuff, he also was a second unit director, and he did this radio stuff offsite from where they were at. He was in the Philippines doing a movie with Richard Harris.
Oh no.
Called, I believe, Strike Commander 2.
I'll bet there was some drinking involved.
Yeah. Richard Harris. I don't know.
I gotta look at it. Strike Commando 2. Yes. So anyway, and he says that he got called back. Fulci turned in the print. He was mad at the producers. He was mad about everything. They didn't give him enough time to prep, and they told him he had to start now. And he said, "Well, I'm not responsible for what comes out then." And I don't know. It's lots of different stories, and I could tell, listening to the different stories, you can kind of tell why. The actors wouldn't really know for sure why. They'd hear stories running around, that different people told. But so Bruno was under contract to this producer. So when the producer told him, "You got to come back and finish this," he said, that was my job. I had to do what they told me to do. It wasn't a thing like this. So anyway, so the radio bit, did that remind you of anything?
The fog.
Okay.
Yeah, it reminded me of the TV show Zombie Nation or Z Nation.
Oh, well, that too. Oh boy, you guys are coming up with other ones.
What should it have reminded us of?
Well, it reminded me of Vanishing Point.
Oh, wow.
Remember that?
Clint Eastwood?
What's
Clint
that?
Eastwood? Clint Eastwood?
No. Barry Morse.
Oh, wow.
No, not Barry Morse. Barry, God dang it. I should have this off the top of my head. He has to drive this car across country, and this the radio announcer, who I think, I'm just pulling this stuff out of my ass. I'm going to say the radio announcer.
Put it back and let it cook a little.
The radio
more.
Announcer was Cleavon Little.
Oh, okay.
I seem to remember that, but I don't.
Oh my God! Why can't I remember this?
I think I remember seeing this movie like in
Barry
college.
Newman, and the DJ was Cleavon Little,
Okay.
and he's a car delivery driver named Kowalski, and he delivers hot rods in record time. He runs into trouble with cops, and this DJ is kind of trying to keep an eye out for him and let him know what's going on. It's sort of a pirate station, Anyway, the director of that show is Richard Serafian, the father of Darren Serafian, the dark-haired guy that flies the helicopter away.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
I know that makes no connection other than just by weird happenstance. And Dean Jagger's in that movie too. He plays like a prospector. We talked about him from.
Here's the barrel right here. Here's Jeff's hand. I think I got all of it.
I got to come up with something. So now wait a minute. So I'm going here because we've got a connection we have to mention. So Darren Serafian, who did, he went on to become a producer and a director. He did the Swamp Thing TV series, 2019.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Oh, that was a good one.
Was producer of that. Also Hemlock Grove. He did a bunch of episodes of House, the one with Hugh Laurie. Mm-hmm. CSI New York. Alien Predators was a movie in like 86. Mm-hmm. Was like the first thing that he was involved in. Now his dad, Richard Serafian, was the director of the Twilight Zone episode Living Doll with Talkie Tina.
Cool. Oh, Talkie Tina.
And he directed 2 episodes of Batman. The ones with the Maharaja and the Joker.
Oh, the good one.
The Joker versus the Maharaja. I'm just throwing these out here. But then he directed Vanishing Point. He also directed Man in the Wilderness.
Oh, I like that one.
The Man Who Loved Cat Dancing. Burt Reynolds flick.
Mm-hmm.
Sunburn, which is not a particularly, but Farrah Fawcett.
Farrah Fawcett, yeah.
The Bear, which was the biopic about Bear Bryant, starring Gary Busey.
Oh, I was thinking of a different Bear movie.
And Eye of the Tiger.
But no Sinbad.
No Sinbad. Nope, this was in 86. So anyway, I just thought that was interesting. This guy had a Hollywood background and was doing acting and also directing and producing stuff. And he was dating Beatrice Ring, and he were a thing for about a year or so around the time of this filming. I think he got her the job.
I know why they broke up then.
Or got her the audition, I guess. Yeah. So anyway, so I thought it was interesting because isn't the 2019 Swamp Thing, isn't that the good one that was on?
Yeah,
that was
very
really
good. Yeah, it was so good they canceled it after one episode, and everyone's like, "What are you, insane?" They just
I hated to see that one go. A lot of North Carolina people.
Yeah, a lot of folks should have kept on going. Now apparently they're going to bring it back as a film. So
anyway, I see why it premiered in Paris. It was screened at the Paris Horror Film Festival in June 1988. So the actual premiere was out there. So okay. So yeah, it was a stretch to go to Vanishing Point.
Well, it paid off,
I think.
I feel like Jeff's bedroom, if you looked into it, has like pins in the wall with string attaching different actors.
Yeah, I do. I am.
Hey, it's the Crazies.
Everything is connected. Exactly. Crazy. That's the first thing I saw.
So crazy. Yeah, and that top shot just screams Fulci. That's a Fulci shot right there. Yeah. I refuse to believe that was one of the reshoots because that just has the master's hand. But yeah, the middle one is the Crazies. And
there's a picture of
there's
her.
The green.
Yeah, there's a picture of her holding a gun, a rifle, and staring stoically into the camera, or sternly, I should say. And I swear, when you look at it, she looks like I'm getting another brain fart. Who's the star of the Kill Bill movies?
Uma Thurman.
Yeah, Uma Thurman. She looks like Uma Thurman in that pose. Yeah. She doesn't in any of the rest of this movie, but in that one pose, she really looked like her, and it was quite a long time before that.
So I'm guessing the top shot and the bottom shot are Fulci, and the middle shot is not Fulci.
Yeah, so Fulci left, and depending on who you talk to, he was done. He was pissed off at the producers, so and this doesn't seem very professional, but if he got lied to, I can sort of understand it.
But I've also already had a stroke,
and they said he had a stroke, and then somebody else said he had liver cancer. So then finally they narrow it down to the people that seem to know him the best said he had cirrhosis of the liver, but it wasn't from drinking. It was from a virus or hepatitis. One person said a virus. Somebody else said hepatitis.
Oh, they both be right.
Yes. So, and that during the filming of this, he was not in good shape, and they had to, his belly was really extended, and they had to draw fluid off his stomach every so often. And amazingly, he lives another 8 to 10 years.
That is amazing.
But anyway, he says that's not why he left. So,
I feel like that's just, if you're giving a director and you're giving an interview and they want to know why you left a production, you can come up with all kinds of good reasons. Don't say it was because you were sick, because that phone is never going to ring again. That's a scary thing for producers, that they don't want people dying on the set because it's really inconvenient.
Yeah.
So,
so the writers of the script, Claudio and Rossella, claimed that he loved the script and thought it was great and told him he'd be able to do it just the way they wrote it, but yet kept having to cut stuff out and take shortcuts to where it wasn't that anymore at all. And that when he left the film and the producer saw what was turned in, he was really ticked off because there wasn't a complete story there. That I heard differing stories of he turned in like 70 to 90 minutes. And so they called in Bruno and Claudio to come in and fix it. And so what Bruno shot, Bruno Mattei, and I'm probably not pronouncing that correctly. According to him and just about everybody else, he claims he shot about 40% of the film, but he still says it's a Fulci film. It was Fulci's vision. I don't know if he's being nice or he doesn't want to claim it, but he shot all the scenes featuring the soldiers dressed in the white anti-contamination suits, including the entire beginning with the stolen suitcase and the bad acting doctor and the general. The scenes, the helicopter scene at the beginning where the helicopter's chasing the guy with the stolen case. The scenes involving the security guard storming a hotel room. All of a sudden, all these guys come in, and then the scenes where the zombies start to burn. And they said most of the lead actors were not able to come back for the reshoots, except for Ottaviano Delacroix, who played Roger, and Massimo Vanni, who played Bo, both under English names. And those were also stunt coordinator and stuntman in the film too. So anyway, that's that about all that. I don't know what else to say about that other than,
Okay, Forrest, on to the next one.
I'm done with that stuff, except I just want to talk about some of these scenes. So this woman's standing there leaning over the railing and a zombie runs up and pushes her into the commentary. They kept calling it the pool. But if it was a pool, it was a hell of a deep pool because supposedly zombies were on the bottom and were eating her legs off. I mean, what?
I guess.
And that's why they had that's the way they described it,
And it had boiling. It looked like it was boiling water.
That was supposed to show the zombie activity or something.
Oh, that's okay. Oh. Yeah.
But there's kind of a cool scene when he drags her out of the water. After he dives into the water that has either boiled or zombie ate her and has no ill effects whatsoever. Anyway.
It's not supposed to make sense.
Well, mission accomplished.
It didn't. And then I have a theory. Dr. Marius, who's always shouting and waving his hands around. Yeah. I think that this is for the non-English speaking people. They were doing that. They were memorizing the English script and saying it without knowing what it meant. Yeah, speaking phonetically. So he didn't have any idea what he was saying. He didn't know when to emphasize it. It just looked stupider than hell. And then there'd be gaps where there shouldn't have been gaps in the phrases. It was very weird. It was.
I mean, I wouldn't be any better if you gave me a script in Italian.
Absolutely.
And said, and you've got to be angry when you say this. It's like, which word am I especially angry with? Just figure it out, and I'd probably totally get it wrong.
Yep.
And they did.
And they did. And they didn't care. So, that's my theory on that. They also had a bunch of stories about jumping. The two actors so this is Serafian and Beatrice Ring were claiming that they would bring about 20 local volunteers in every day. And they both said one of those guys jumping off the building broke his leg. And their reaction was, okay, next.
That's why we brought 20 of you.
Now the stunt guys all say, "Oh, these guys were great. They loved being in the movie."
They like it when they break their legs. Yeah. Get stronger.
Anyway, and
wow.
Serafian said there was a place where he was supposed to jump off, and he told Fulci he didn't want to do it. Yeah. And Fulci asked him, "What? Are you afraid you're going to hurt your pussy?"
Oh. Wow.
So that's what I got. All these statements from these people about Fulci, and they're all like going, "Oh, he was such a funny guy, but he could be so cruel. But sometimes when you insulted you didn't even notice because you were laughing so hard at the way he did it. I'm like, I don't know. Anyway, he was a wonderful man. You could have really intelligent conversations when he wasn't calling you names.
Right.
So
it sounds like the working conditions there were dreadful. I'm not surprised they had a hard time bringing people back.
I can't figure out. Apparently, there was a lot of civil unrest there too at that time. I didn't look this up, but they claimed there were like gunshots and shit like that, and guerrilla fighting going on in the country at that time. But then Bruno said, "Oh, they'd send troops to guard you," but I never saw anything. They just were trying to make some money or something. So but anyway, jumping off, So I don't know, and the birds. I mean, the birds. That's another thing. See, I don't know. These two actors were acting like they were doing a riff tracks for the movie. They were making jokes and yucking it up, and I thought they claimed that they had those were real birds that were killed, but they sure didn't look like they were real birds. I
was actually kind of wondering that. Some of them looked pretty fake, but some of them looked better than I would give these folks credit for. And it's a whole lot easier to go buy some birds and hurt them so that they're just flopping there on the ground. And this movie is not one of those where there was any people there making sure no animals were hurt in the making. For God's sakes, stuntmen are jumping off of buildings and breaking their legs. I don't think they were too concerned about the local flora.
And I'm sure they were getting, the standard rate for stuntmen too.
Yeah. So we can add this to the stack of possible sketchy movies we've watched in terms of how animals were treated.
Yeah, I'm sure the rate over there is probably a McDonald's Happy Meal. For those guys.
I don't know. I don't want to say anything else that they said because I just they said something about injecting air in the birds to make them move. Or to kill them. I don't know which.
Possibly both. Yeah.
Anyway.
You just let all the air out of the room, Jeff.
Yeah.
Maybe they need to pump us up with the air.
Anyway.
Before now, I felt bad for the birds because they were in this movie. Now I just feel bad for them.
It's actually, thinking about what they all said were different. It's amazing that I know it doesn't make any sense, but at the same time, the way they splice these different scenes in that Bruno and Fragasso shot are it's kind of impressive, actually.
It's impressive, except that since there is absolutely no narrative direction here, you could shoot anything you want and stick it anywhere you want, and it's fine. Yeah, sure. Why not? We got a bunch of people who decide to split up and go their own ways, so if we suddenly have them showing up at an abandoned McDonald's, whatever, why not?
In their minds, they were making it a coherent story.
Yeah, well.
So I have one other story that I thought was pretty good. It was Claudio Fragasso and his wife Rossella Drudi were talking about Dario Argento and how they saw Argento at Fulci's funeral. And Argento came up to him and said, "Hey, I got this script that Lucio really liked, The Wax Mask.
Yeah.
And he told me that he couldn't do it. He was too sick. And the only other person that could do it is Claudio. He's the only one that could give it credit." And Claudio afterwards goes, he goes, "I knew right away that he was lying because Lucio never would have said that." We were good friends, but that's not the way Lucio thought about stuff. So And then Argento comes at him again and tries to get him to do it. He declines to do it. So he gets somebody else to do it. And it turns into a piece of junk.
Yeah.
And then at some time later, they're eating at a restaurant. They're sitting outdoors. Turns out Argento's in the same restaurant indoors. And he sees them and he comes out and starts screaming at him for ruining his movie, for not doing it. And they're going, finally, according to her, Rossella said, I asked him, if you thought it was such a great script, why didn't you do it? And he said, according to her, Dario said, I didn't feel like it. And they said, well, neither did we.
They raise a valid point.
I don't know. I just thought that was kind of
Yeah.
hilarious. The inner workings of the manipulation in the film industry.
It's
All right,
amazing any movies get made, and it's amazing when they do get made, they end up like this.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I think we've beaten this undead horse.
Oh, I beat it to death.
It rose from the dead, and we beat it again.
So when the general and the two guys put the corpse into the furnace and release the contaminated ashes, the two guys that shoved the body in were Fragasso and Bruno, Claudio and Bruno.
That's their Hitchcock moment.
Wearing their fatigues. All right. I don't have anything else.
I think
it's okay.
Neither did the screenwriters.
Yeah.
They were really proud of the script, but they just didn't.
I don't know why. You know, and again, yes, stuff was cut out and everything, so who knows what it was originally. It's, but I just didn't see anything there.
So I guess we can that's it for this episode. But we have some feedback.
Good, thank God.
I guess that's it for Zombie 3.
Don't know if we're going to get a lot of feedback on this one, but you never know. Jerry will probably hit us with a 3-page note.
So we have who wants to read? You guys need to read these. I talk too much about Vanishing Point. So episode 229, Chud. Our buddy Wes DiOrio comes in. Yay! And
he even tells us how to pronounce it, which is
I know.
Leave out the L. Well, why is it there?
It's silent.
It's a silent L.
Undo your Oreo.
So who wants Chad, why don't you take this one?
Okay. Wes DiOrio. Hey, Grue Crew. Thanks for covering this cult classic. I saw it in the late 80s on cable when I was about 12, which seems to be the prime audience for this film. Yeah, that's true. No disrespect, though. It's a fun watch at any age. I was thrilled when The Simpsons made a reference to it in season 9 when Homer describes the first time he went to New York. Yeah, I remember this. At the end of the flashback, he falls into the sewer and encounters the Chuds. There are other references in later seasons, which means the writers must be fans too. Thanks as always for a great podcast. Ciao for now, Wes DiOrio. And he puts in again that it's pronounced DiOrio.
I think it's standard. I might have actually copied that in 2 different places. So
okay.
I appreciate.
Well, it's all right to drive the point home. If we're pronouncing somebody's name wrong, I'd like to know how to pronounce it right.
Yeah, absolutely. And I appreciate the comment. I think this is the first time he's actually just commented on a film, because before he's always like answering some question that we've never been able to figure out the answer to, or another viewer. So thanks, Wes. Good to hear from you. All right. Wicked City.
Time to take some lumps here.
30. Okay. Hit it, Bill. This one's from Dallas Nostromo.
From Dallas Nostromo. Dear Grue Crew, after careful consideration of the animated rapey porno known as Wicked City, it is the decision of this committee that Grue Crew member known as George Clooney be immediately placed on double secret probation. Upon further investigation, it is determined that if Mr. Clooney continues to recommend rapey pornos, he shall automatically be placed on triple secret probation and be subject to all the consequences that entails, which currently we don't really know what those are. Respectfully, the Committee of One, Dallas. It's fair enough.
He makes a good point.
It's a fair cop.
Point.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then I get some more. I get some more abuse from Damien Osotillo.
Yep.
This is like this is straight to the heart. Bill, oh Bill, oh my. Well, Grue Crew Bill took us from the epic anime to uncovering his naughty side for anime. But in all honesty, I agree with Crystal. This is a story to follow. From the Men in Black vibe, the Blade Runner voiceover, to the creatures that would have made for a great adaptation of John Carpenter's The Thing, this OVA has a lot going for it. This came out when anime was in the middle of a variety of action, horror, gore titles like Fist of the North Star and Violence Jack. Yeah, lots of violence, blood, and over-the-top kills. Without really following the director, I knew, based on designs, that this was the same man who directed my favorite anime after Akira, Ninja Scroll. From the female designs to the annoying but wise, powerful little old man, this is Ninja Scroll in a modern futuristic setting. Can't wait to see which anime is next. As always, continued success and much appreciation to the crew. P.S. If you guys go to Florida and haven't been there, Atomic Horror in Orlando is an awesome store for horror movie enthusiasts. From Universal Monsters to modern slasher, the store has it all. My brother visited the store in Dinley for 45 minutes, said it was worth every minute. Oh, that sounds like fun. Atomic Horror.
I've heard of this place.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Damien.
Appreciate the tip and appreciate the comment and the info. He's the one that recommended. You did it on
70s.
No, on the movie, the Diecast movie podcast, Chad, with Steve Turek.
Yeah, no, that was not Ninja Scroll. That was Bow.
Yeah, and Damien recommended Bow after we did Akira.
Mm-hmm. And love that movie. And Ninja Scroll is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, that's a good
absolutely movie. Amazing.
All right, and from the two people that had asked us to do Frankenstein Island, episode 231, the last one, Mikey Z. Chad, you want to take Mikey?
Yeah, sure. Mikey Z says about the epic fantasy horror film Frankenstein Island. You maniacs! You finally did it! Thank you for doing this favorite guilty pleasure of mine. And favorite is in quotations. Totally off the charts, but not as batshit as The Visitor. And ban away. Oh, there will be some banning. There will be some banning. Congrats, Bill, on Realm.
Okay, you're unbanned. That's all it took.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. And then Tyler Mohr, who we also referenced in the episode. Bill, you want to take Tyler's?
Okay, Tyler Mohr. Hello, Grue Crew. I think I would be remiss if I did not give feedback on this episode since I requested it. Thank you for a wonderful episode and analysis of the movie. Yes, I realize only Crystal found it entertaining, but I loved hearing the insights. I first stumbled upon this movie at a used DVD store. I watch everything from the classic era onwards, and this looked interesting. I had no idea what zany entertainment was in store for me. I've always enjoyed it for the insanity of it all. Crystal gets it completely with this movie, and I'm glad to hear she found it entertaining. It truly does feel like a 60s film that was mistakenly labeled as produced in the 80s. I cannot add much to what was already been said, but I would suggest the final battle gets better upon repeat viewings. I think I noticed something new and zany every time I see it. The monster was the most ineffectual monster ever and posed no threat to anyone except the tables. I think the mutants in the movie reminded me of old Batman henchmen scooped up from a retirement home. That's funny. No longer working for Mr. Freeze or the Penguin, they now have to do the bidding of a crazed madman. I'm always expecting a pow or bonk to flash on the screen in the final fight. That would be great. Thanks for the great shows and insights. May I suggest a title called The Outing, 1987? No, because you keep suggesting Frankenstein Island. We don't trust you anymore, sir. Yeah. It is a supernatural slasher with a genie. Okay, now I'm intrigued. Cheers, Tyler. You talk me back into it.
Fine stuff.
Oh,
so,
brother.
Who wants Jerry Chandler on Frankenstein Island? No less.
You want me to do it? Because I can do Jerry pretty fast.
Well, no, that's all right. It's not quite as long as some of his.
Oh, yeah.
I'll read it. You want me to read it?
Okay. Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. Jerry Chandler says, you know what? I'm not going to read it. See, Crystal gets it, sort of, mostly, a little bit Jeff as well. You guys just keep encouraging Crystal to like this bullshit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay? And you're just trying to get in good with her. I know you're.
I just want, I want Crystal to like me, so I went along.
Yeah. See, it's not going to work.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to work. But anyway, Jerry goes on. There's a level of bad that actually gets so silly it's entertaining. You look at them, and then there's an idiotic charm in the ineptness of them. The film Dracula versus Frankenstein, The Brainiac, The Incredible Melting Man, The Keep, The Loch Ness Horror, God Monster of Indian Flats, Troll 2, and so many more, where you watch them and just wonder if they were released into theaters or if they escaped. Sometimes they don't even look like anything else that came out in their time. And no one is ever on the same page. Some people are giving it their all, while some people, occasionally, the writers, directors, are just sort of there for a paycheck and doing the least they can do. But there's just a weird, stupid charm about them. They're never going to be good. They're never going to be legit favorites. And they're never going to be the films you want to pull out for a movie night with friends who aren't somewhat mentally damaged. But damn, they're at least watching once just for the experience of it. I think you meant they're at least worth watching once just for the experience of it. They're bad, and they're not bad in a way that stops them from being funny. Granted, they were never meant to be funny, but it is what it is. Frankenstein Island makes no sense at all. There are scripted lines in the thing that no actor could save. Jerry Warren's incompetent filmmaking even manages to make actual woods that nature created look like poorly done sets that weren't finished before they started filming a scene.
Good point.
Yeah. The special effects are, well, special and not very effective. Special. Yeah. It's objectively bad if you go through and check all the boxes on paper. I'm going to quote John Dimes here. There are no bad movies, only bad audiences. I don't always 100% agree with that, but Frankenstein Island falls under that philosophy.
I met John Dimes at RavenCon. He's a hoot. Yeah, he's great. Oh, man.
Ooh.
But I think this movie might be pushing his philosophy to the limit.
I'll own that whole bad audience thing because I hated this movie. Woo. John Dimes, you're correct. On some, but,
tell us who John Dimes is for everybody.
He's Dr. Sarcophagi. He's the first African-American horror host. And a guy with a great sense of humor, by which I mean he laughs at my jokes. That's all it takes. That's all I ask.
All right. Well, and lastly, on Frankenstein Island, sort of, from Gregory Crosby, our poet in residence. Bill, you want to take this one?
Sure, because I love the first line. Congratulations on the book, Bill. You are also unbanned. Does it still have that first novel smell?
You're undoing all my good work here, Bill.
Yeah. Also, I'm embarrassed to admit that I thought you were doing Frankenstein's Castle of Freaks this week. What are you, Chad? Which is ridiculous because that film came out in 1974 and both looks and feels it. Yeah. Another winner. Boy, there's a double feature. You want to find out if like your significant other loves you.
Thanks, Gregory.
Have them sit down for a double feature of Frankenstein's Castle of Freaks and Frankenstein Island. If they're still with you at the end, they're a keeper.
I'm seeing a bad side of like caving to do these long requested movies because it doesn't satisfy them. They just
no.
a longer list of more words.
It just encourages their rambunctious behavior.
Jerry threw up a list, and now
threw up is the right word.
Gregory mentioned Frankenstein's Castle of Freaks.
Well, Jerry threw up a list, but we've done some of the movies.
We have done some of those. That's true. That's true.
Yeah, they're just going to send us pictures of like a plate of a steaming pile of crap and ask us to review it.
Can you guys review this dog shit, please?
Yeah.
Did you? So that's it for this episode. But every 2 weeks, we'll be focusing on a specific film released between 1980 and 1989. And just to support that last conversation, next up, we tackle one chosen by me, Larry Buchanan's The Loch Ness Horror from 1982.
Are you happy, Jerry? Are you happy? Yes, Jerry is happy now.
And
it's his best
I don't know what to call
Larry Buchanan's best movie.
I know we have it on good authority, which I'm calling you good authority, George Clooney. But I was trying to come up with a name for the month of May because in decades of horror of the 80s, the 3 films that be released in May are Frankenstein Island, Zombie 3, and The Loch Ness Horror.
That's a trifecta of quality right there.
Mayhem, Miss, I don't know.
Maybe we should have thought this through a little better.
All right. So, hey.
May destroy your brain.
Yeah.
So, this is the 10th anniversary year of Horror News Radio and Gruesome Magazine. Their first episode was Evil Dead, the I don't know, whatever you want to call it, remake, reimagining, whatever. And in honor of that 10th anniversary, they did Evil Dead Rising or Rises, Evil Dead Rising. So, and there's all kinds of stuff planned for the year, topped off with, I believe in February 2024, the Grue Cruise. So they've lined up a cruise. Go to the gruesomemagazine.com website and you'll see a place to get the information on that. But it's I think it's a 3-night, 4-day, or is it 2-night, 2-day? Grue Cruise. So still don't know who all's going on there, but we need a certain number of spots in order to get the special rates. So check that out. If you have any interest, come hang out with a bunch of other horror freaks. And there's plenty of ways to stay in touch. Please send feedback to feedback@gruesomemagazine.com or leave comments on the Gruesome Magazine YouTube channel, which, by the way, you should go to and like and subscribe, even if you listen to the audio podcast, just because we want to get those subscriptions up. It won't hurt you a bit. Anything else we need to say here? I guess. Also, we have a Patreon thing where you can get, there's other things that will be coming out in light of the 10-year anniversary or in conjunction with, but also Decades of Horror. Usually those links to that are sent out the day after we record them. And normally they don't go live until, or they don't go public for around 12 days to 2 weeks. So
excellent.
You get that. It doesn't cost much, but it does cost a little bit to keep the servers and the licenses and all that stuff going. So
plus our enormous salaries.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Which I'm still waiting on the check. Doc assures me it's in the mail.
Oh, any moment now.
I got you guys a 50% raise. So you're welcome.
Wait a minute.
Nothing from nothing means nothing.
All right. Catch us again here in 2 weeks for another great horror movie of the 1980s. As only Decades of Horror can do it. Say good night.
Night, folks.
Good night, everybody.